Welcome back to Reading Bear. Today, we will take a look at some new revenge stories. And if you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comments. Let's go!
The first one is titled, "That Was My Parking Space Witch." I took the family out to eat at APPLEBEES. The lot was full and I saw a customer come out to leave, so I waited for him to pull out and take the spot. Guy pulls out and a car full of young girls just pull into my spot. You know the type. Well, I rolled down my window and told him I was waiting for that space, and the driver says, "Too bad, your name wasn't on it." I was livid but just waited for another space and went in and ate. Girls were at the bar doing shots, getting wasted. We enjoyed our meal and paid the waiter. I then asked the waiter if he wanted to make $20. I asked him to go up to the girls 10 minutes after we left and tell them they got a call from someone that said that they had keyed their car and that they should have parked somewhere else. I did not key the car. I called him about an hour later to ask how it went. He said they all went nuts, screaming, and even called the police. Bonus, cops came and found no damage to car but noticed the girls were too damaged to drive. Cops left and circled back and watched the car. Girls come out, get in car, start the car, and the parking lot explodes in blue light. Busted. DUIs and PDs for all. I did not know about the bonus till a week later when I went back for a few beers. The waiter recognized me and told me the bonus story, laughing the whole time. Another $20 to the waiter. Best $40 I ever spent. Edit, there is some confusion about DUIs and PDs for all. Where I am from, the key just has to be in the ignition for a DUI, the car doesn't even have to be running. PD equals public drunkenness. Cops here have a lot of leeway and only need to detect alcohol on the breath to arrest you on that charge. I suspect the girls were all ugly to cops, so they got PD. Only the driver got a DUI. As for stopping them in the parking lot, private property, rather than wait till they were on the road, I would think that would be a public safety and liability issue. The next one is titled, "Parking Lot Hoverer." Took my kids grocery shopping with me today. When I do that, I always park farther down the parking lot and next to a cart corral. That way not very many cars are nearby, so it's easier to pull my cart up to the side of my car without hitting anything, which lets me get the toddlers in and out easier. So I'm done shopping, the kids are loaded in the car, I've got the groceries in, and I'm putting the cart away. I see a car pull up a few spaces next to me, but this one is parked diagonally, almost facing my car. I stare at the lady in the driver's seat. She stares at me. I hop in my car. She's still staring. I stare back. Originally I just thought she was a shitty parker and hoped my staring would shame her into trying to park properly. Then she makes a, well, gesture with her hands, and I realize she wants my parking spot. I have no idea why she was set on my particular spot. Of the 12 spots that were in my row, only 3 were occupied. If she absolutely needed to be next to the cart corral, the other 3 spots were free and clear. But no, only my spot would do. So she hovered there. And I really hate people who hover. Well, my kids were content in the backseat and I had nowhere to be, so I decided to take my time leaving. Fiddled around looking for the perfect song on my phone. Then I had to send a text. One of the kids wanted a snack, so I got that for them. It was hot, so I took my jacket off. Hey, I got a text back. Better answer that before I start driving. Then I got cold, so I needed to put my jacket back on. I did this for a full 3 minutes. The whole time the lady stared at me. Sometimes she scooted her car forward a couple inches, as if trying to make sure I could see her there. Then she would back up, as if changing her mind and deciding to park in one of the spots around her. And every time she moved, I would find something else to do. Finally she had enough, straightened her car out, and pulled forward into an empty parking space. As she opened her door, I drove away with a big smile on my face. I looked over as I drove by on the road, and she had gotten back in her car and moved it to my spot. Why did it have to be that spot? But I made her wait for it and park somewhere else first. The next one is titled, "Still Ex-Wife's Car After She Defaults." We all know who me is. Ex-wife. Wife and I got together in July of '07, July 5th to be exact. We actually celebrate that anniversary more than the wedding one. We're not really normal. It was ex-wife's idea, sort of. Wife needed a place to stay, so ex-wife suggested she move in with me. Ex-wife just didn't expect things to get serious. And she wasn't happy. She just got remarried at the time too, so what the duck. Wife and I have been together 13 years, married 6. Like I said, got together in July '07. The company I worked for got bought out and took over in October. Our last day was December 1st of '07. I decided I deserved to sit on my butt for a year before seriously looking for work. This is important, I guess. So, come spring, an ex-wife is on the same softball team as wife's best friend. Ex-wife keeps going on how she can't wait till I die so she can kick wife out of her house. Nice, huh? Lawyer friend says as long as her name is still on the house, she can. Divorced or not. I need to get her to sign a quit-claim deed to get her name out of there. Then we can refinance to get her name off the loan too. So, I tell her that when I can't make payments any longer, being out of work for 6 months, that they'd come after her. Not a lie. And wife weren't even close to losing said house. Ex-wife doesn't like to work, but her new hubby bought her an '04 40th anniversary Mustang that she works to make payments on. Her dream car. Sure. Now she works. Didn't when we were married. Lol. Soon after getting the house refinanced, we found out that ex-wife was still on my car insurance. She was enjoying my multi-vehicle and house discount. Oh hell to the no. And since I've been with the same company for 30 years, I asked a little favor. Take her off, put wife on, but after notifying the state and the lien holder that she no longer has car insurance, maybe they could wait a couple days before mailing X notice. Banks love the chance to insure you, for at least double. Or more. For those of you not in the States, banks, credit unions demand you keep full coverage insurance on the car in case it's stolen, wrecked, you get the idea, right? Now, the big plus, when her name was still being on the house, it gave her great credit rating. But for some reason, after the banks and everyone else she got loans from found out she didn't have access to the house, all her rates and payments went up. And, yup, they can do that. Or demand the loan be paid in full. Part 2 of the revenge. I know what you're thinking, all that and that's not it? Sad, huh? Anyhow, driving home from work one day, I did find a new job. I drove past the bank that had ex-wife's car loan, and there it be. All shiny and white, just sitting in their parking lot. I knew what that meant, so I went inside to have a little chat. By law, they have to wait 30 days for you to get caught up on your payments, or they put it up for auction. Big hassle for them. Also by law, they can't tell you what the highest bid is, but if you agree to pay off the remainder of the loan, they are happy. At least it was worth more than what she owed. But I would have gone over a little. So yeah. On day 31, the wife and I were driving home the wife's new car. And what made it even better? The ex-wife, came in on day 32 with the money to catch it up. And they told her who bought it. My number 2 son said she cried all the way home. Oh, life is good sometimes. It ain't much, but it put a smile on our faces. The next one is titled, Gym Parking Lot Petty Revenge. So I go to a gym near my house that over the past 6 months has exploded in popularity, only large-scale gym around. There are 2 parking lots, one close to the door and another behind the building, maybe 100 meters from the furthest spot to the door. So lately it's been very cold and the close parking in the front fills up very quick, and people will wait around for a spot since the turnover is usually quick. However, I guess some people are impatient, as lately people have just begun to park wherever they can stick their car. On the sidewalk, grass area covered in snow, and even on a crosswalk area that leads to a ramp that leads to the door, effectively blocking access. This last offense especially annoyed me since I have a quad uncle and accessibility is always an issue without some douche parking his car somewhere he shouldn't because he can't walk approximately 50 meters. It started off here and there, and now consistently there is always someone blocking that ramp entrance. I spoke to the manager of the gym and they said they would look into it, with a tone that said to me, whatever. So I decided to take matters into my own hands. I bought some window markers, the ones you can easily wipe off, and every time I came and saw someone park there, I'd write on their driver side window, "Thank you for parking like a douche." I kept this up for nearly 3 weeks. Now amazingly, eventually people stopped parking there, and clearly this a hot topic because I hear people occasionally mentioning, and the gym actually posted a sign asking for whoever was vandalizing cars to cease. I got my point across, so I stopped. A week later I was in the free weight area and I heard the guy beside me complaining how his car got hit. I looked over and said, "Shouldn't have parked like a douche then." The next one is titled, "Make Me Look Bad on the Job?" Well, we'll see about that. I worked at a clothing store in a mall for a year and a half. It was not fun, but I was think back to my time there recently and I forgot this golden gem of pro revenge. So a new girl had just been hired, as many new people did in that job, and right away you could tell she thought she was hot. We're talking acting like a manager, talking how many hours she had, and worst of all, she wouldn't shut up about all the dudes she was banging and how the money she got from them was the most important part. To put it lightly, she was a cold-hearted witch who made everyone feel bad about their insignificant lives, as she put it. Here's where things go down. In our store, all the racks were milled steel bars and hooks, so really hard to break and really expensive. They could however be bent out of shape if enough heavy coats stay on them for long periods of time. Ms. Hot here though, it would be a good idea to impress the management by putting all the coats on the same rack using the milled steel bars instead of a circular rack that wouldn't warp. I protested, of course, as I'd been there longer, but she said, "I get paid more than you, so do what I say." She got hired as a key holder of the gate, so she made $1 more than I did per hour. I go along with it, put the heavy winter coats up on the milled steel and go about my life. Well, 2 weeks later the milled steel is of course warped, and when management saw this they flipped. Cheapo store, any cost was bad to them. Anyways, she blames it on me and I get written up for it. Now I refuse to sign, so they gave me less hours, which also cut my pay. Because she lied, I was now making 50% less than before and had a formal written complaint against me. To say I was ticked off wouldn't even start. So I devised a plan, go get back at her. You see, the drywall on the center pillars had sustained water damage for an early melt earlier that year, making them extremely soft. However, they provide some of the largest coverage of shelf space in the entire store, meaning basically a good 20% of shelf space couldn't be used. Now the kicker is Ms. Hot didn't know about this, as she came in a week after it had happened, and to the naked eye you wouldn't think the pillar couldn't be used, as there was banners on it to try and hide the yellowing. I may have suggested what a waste not being able to have product on the pillars was, and how if someone could come up with a nice display it would bring in a lot of customers due to how people could see it from the mall main floor. We were just off the food court. Her eyes lit up. Now here's the thing, I was taking a small break to a nice snowy lake cabin the next day, and the people she had working with her were the manager or the temps, who were not allowed to handle marketing and logistics, i.e. putting shelves rack up on the wall due to their cost, and the incident that got me wrote up. Now I knew she wouldn't want the managers to see it because she wanted all the glory from it. She wanted to show to our 3 stores in the mall that her store was the best while the managers weren't around. So she, being with a temp and them not being able to put up shelving, put the heavy winter clothing on milled steel racks attached to the soft drywall pillars. Within a week the drywall on the pillars collapsed and ruined $500 worth of product. Now she tried to shift blame on me, but I was away for the whole week, so it could not have been me, because obviously that can't happen if I'm in the forest hundreds of miles from civilization. So no dice there, and she promptly got charged with the repair, demoted to sales associate, and written up for what they finally realized was not just this but the one they wanted me to sign. The repair was $2,500 plus the $500 stock that got destroyed when 40 pounds of drywall came crushing down on it. But I wasn't done yet. You see, our manager in our store specifically was pretty chill, and she's still a personal friend to me. She had a group chat so we could talk off hours and keep up to date. Now, as I mentioned before, she wouldn't shut up about all the men she was playing and how the only thing that mattered was the money, and boy oh boy did she use the group chat to say a lot of this. Sometimes one of these dudes would come around and take her for lunch. Let's just say when she was in the back for a little while finishing something up that I let them see the text channel if they promised not to let her know I told them. So often they'd go on their lunch date, and after 1 or 2 days she'd be down a man. Finally this boiled over when one of them took her phone, saw how many guys she had been banging for money, and messaged all of them about how much of a lying cheat she was. After 2 months her fountain of man money dried up, and how demoted to a sales associate she didn't have the money to spend on all her lavish nights out or designer clothing. She eventually moved up to another store for more hours and stole money from the till, causing her to get fired. A fitting end to a backstabbing ice queen, I think. I eventually left that job after half a year later to pursue my current job. The next one is titled, 37 years worth of payback. My ex stole close to 90k in euros from me, which I saved up for 9 years, and when I took her to court, I lost due to lack of evidence. At the moment I felt destroyed and lost it all. She even sued me for emotional damages and I had to pay 55k in euros. So I was forced to sell my house and take a big loan from the bank. I stayed with a friend who helped me find some good lawyers. Sure enough, we found an amazing one. In just one day he helped me so much and even helped me get the info of who took money from my bank account. Something was wrong with my statements. On the 29th of June a transaction happened in my name that I never made. In fact, it was impossible for it to be me because I was not in the country at the time. I was ready to get back into court when I found out that she bought my house, but first I had to sweeten my revenge. How? Well, I have a safe that I never told her about hidden in the bathroom behind the cabinet. I thought that since she ruined my life, why not ruin hers even more? So with the help of an accomplice I bought a ton of illegal substances, about 400 euros worth, and used another friend to hide it there. The safe has a 4-digit code, that being 0000, never got to change it to something else. And before taking her to court again I had that same friend who hid the dope turn her in. It took about a week for the cops to receive a mandate to search the house. They found nothing in the first 2 hours, and they wouldn't have if my friend hadn't forgot to leave the safe cover open. That 400 euro worth of dope is worth a 5k euro fine, and 12 years in prison. Well, I'm not done yet. Court time again. I had my lawyer get the footage from when the money from the bank was transferred and also provided documents showing that I was not in the country at the time. We also found out the account to which the money was sent to. The name was that of my ex. It was an open and shut case. My lawyer also demanded payment for emotional damage, all the money that was stolen, the house, and also money equivalent to 2 times the debt I had in the bank, which is equal to about 140k euros. The look on her face when everything came down crashing on her was totally worth it. And on top of the 12 years for illegal substance possession, she received an additional 25 years for theft and false testimony. Enjoy it, trick. The next one is titled, One Full. So this happened during the beginning of my senior year of high school. I was balancing out football, school and work. I worked at a convenience store chain that's only around in my region of the country, USA. I had an incompetent store manager. She was lazy, never wanted to do work, and all the store associates including assistant manager were always stuck cleaning up her mess. She took 2-hour lunches and always thought it was appropriate to leave her shift early. For some reason, and I'll never understand why, but she did not like me for whatever reason. A good example was her writing me for using my cell phone on the floor, when it was my mother calling me asking when to pick me up, didn't have my license when this was going on, or the time she gave me crap for not fully stocking the fridge. Now she came in early in the morning and I would usually come in at the end of her shift because I had school and football practice, then there was night shift after me. She would come in the morning and see the fridge not fully stocked. This is just an example of how much of an idiot she really was and how she should be giving the night shift guys write-ups for that, but no, I was her main target. Now I had gotten very sick one weekend and had called into work to that I couldn't come in that day. None of the managers or assistant managers were in, so the team lead took my message. Looking back at it, I should blame him more than my idiot manager. I assume he never told the managers I was out because, come the next week, I had a football game on Saturday and I usually work Saturdays, and when I had gotten that job earlier that year I gave her my football schedule so she wouldn't put me on for that day. My boss calls me Friday night telling me I need to come into work Saturday because I missed work the previous week, and no call no show is automatic termination. I told her I did call in, but she didn't believe me, so instead of her telling me I was fired I said, I quit right there, on the phone. So I guess she didn't fire me but fired me. I don't know now to the revenge. I already had plans to get her fired or demoted. Either one would have made me happy. Over the course of that month prior to my departure, I had taken video and pictures of how bad she had that store running. By the time I had gotten to my shift, I had taken picture of filthy floors and bathrooms. Flies all around the food assembly area. Associates on their phone, even the manager herself playing games or whatever right on the floor. basically showing how she kept her store a wreck during her shift and I was left to clean up the rest. I ended up sending this all the way up to our regional manager. She was banging our district manager. If I sent it to him it would have gotten buried, and I got a response back that the situation would be handled accordingly. District manager ended up getting fired due to incompetence, and he was also under fire initially for sexual assault allegations from other store workers, and my store manager demoted all the way down to a basic store associate. The icing on the cake was a year later, after I got fired. I was working at a warehouse that year after I graduated, making almost $20 per hour. There was another one of the convenience stores right down the road from my building. I ended up going there for lunch only to see my old boss getting reamed out by that store's manager. So with the knowledge that I was making almost 3 times her hourly wage, store associates only made $8.35 per hour, and she was still incompetent at her job. It made me quite happy. The last one is titled, "So You're Sick, huh?" Many years ago I worked as a chef. Hours were long and crap. I worked at one fine dining place for a while and got on with almost everyone except one person who was on starters with me. He was new and young and he got a lot of leeway, which I get, but he constantly dropped me in the crap by being slow or making mistakes. He also never shut up about the TV he had watched last night, instead of concentrating. Towards the end of my time there, he called in sick on a busy Sunday and I had the worst service of my life. I had already handed in my notice. I went around all of the other chefs in my last few weeks and had a quiet word, told them I was leaving but didn't want a fuss. I told everyone except him. A few weeks after my last day he asked, "Where is Pleekhouse? Not seen him in a while." My friend who was still there said, "Oh, didn't you know? He got hit by a bus," and produced a condolences card for my parents for him to sign. A few days after that, I turn up to the staff accommodation to get the last of my stuff. I wait in my car and read a book until after evening service. It was dark. I wait for him to enter his room before climbing up the fire escape and knocking on his window, scaring 7 types of crap out of him. Thanks for listening.